curse words, y'all.
Let's see here. All right, let's get to it. Thanks everyone for joining us today. Really looking forward to today's topic. 2 weeks ago, we spoke about pulling off an in-person event during COVID, and now we're jumping to hybrid events. So really excited again for today's topic, hybrid events in 2021. So let's get to it. All right, so welcome to the webinar, everyone. Again, as I just mentioned, we are going to record this and post this on YouTube and share it on Facebook. So if you need to leave early, you can always go watch the rest there. Feel free to ask us questions. We're going to do a Q&A with our panelists later on at the end, and then give us feedback. Let us know what you think and thought of today's topic. All right, and so as you can see, our presenters are Jeff Porter, CEO and founder of Handbid. He has been a nonprofit fundraiser since 2004, a board member of multiple charities, and he founded Handbid back in 2011. And then on my far right, or at the bottom, wherever, Diana Duflanche, she's joining us from Virginia. She is the Handbid Regional Sales Vice President. Quite the title, Diana. Yes.
Whatever.
And then, but she's been in Handbid sales for over 6 years and has been the chair of 10 plus fundraisers. And she is also a Handbid lead event staff. And then sitting with Jeff,
spare time.
Trust me, they both tested negative for COVID. That's why they're so close. But Haley Bear, she's a Handbid sales executive and benefit auctioneer. She has been in Handbid sales since 2017 and has been a licensed benefit auctioneer with 10 plus years experience. Haley, you're not.
I was going to say, since you graduated from elementary school.
Yes. And then also over the last.
No, she was doing auctions in high school. Let's not forget about those years, okay?
I know she was. I saw the videos.
Important years. Put my confidence there.
And I'll finish now. Haley has done a dozen of virtual events and hybrid events over the last year. So it's great that she's joined us today to share kind of how those have been successful. So thanks, Haley, for being here. And let's jump right in. Let's do it.
Let's do it. Thank you, David.
Yep.
Hey, so we covered this in the last webinar as well. Just a couple things we want to clarify as it relates to what we're going to be able to tell you today, right? So, obviously we want to explain the differences between virtual, hybrid, physical events. We're going to do that. We're going to explain how a hybrid event works. We're going to talk about our experiences running them. And I actually do have some. I mean, Haley was involved as well, but my event back in September, I would argue, was a hybrid event. And then we can answer some of your questions about that. What we cannot do is tell you what to do, right? We can't predict the future. I don't know how many masks you need to wear and how long you need to wear them for. We also don't know what the restrictions are going to be in your area, okay? And we don't know how those are going to change. And I know that makes it difficult, right? I know it makes it difficult to plan when the future is uncertain. All we would do is we can basically tell you what you should do. You'll have to, or you're going to need to figure out and decide for yourself, like, what makes the most sense. Can I have a physical event? Can I have a virtual event? Do I not even want to chance it? And I'm just going to go virtual because I have no idea what it's going to be like. What is this hybrid thing that these guys are talking about? And maybe that's my best hedge. And so I think that's what you might get out of the webinar today, is a little bit of advice around that. All we can tell you, and the only advice I will give you, is you should fundraise. You should do something. You should stay connected to your donors. Your donors are expecting you to do that. I think it's odd. I think donors find it odd when you have a big event one year, you raise a lot of money, they donate to that, and then you go 2 years without asking them for money again. They're going to wonder, what, do you really need money from me every year? So you've got to keep a consistent connection with all of them, and it could be an auction, it can be paddle raises, it can be online fundraisers, peer-to-peer, whatever. We're here to help you kind of walk through what your options there might be as it relates to the Handbid software. But again, please fundraise. And I suspect if you're watching this, that's your intent. So we're excited about that.
I like that.
Yeah. All right, let's keep going. Okay. So we're going to just cover a couple things we did last week or last webinar, and we're going to go really fast into those because we're going to dive into all the mechanics of the hybrid event and how you run one, how you plan for it, how you're going to actually pull off this auction or paddle raise where some people are standing in the room and some people aren't. And then we're going to give some final recommendations.
Okay, so the people that we talk to, are mostly nonprofits, but they're calling us. We're getting on the phone with them, and our conversations are long because we kind of have to talk about all three of these options. And so I think to kind of compartmentalize them, it might make sense to think about what we are all familiar with is that physical event. Everybody that's coming to your event is mostly local. The venue is going to house all those people. Everything is happening from a live auction standpoint. Only the people in the room are able to participate in the live auction. And then all the catering is happening there. From a virtual standpoint, everybody's at home. They can be all over the country, sometimes the world. You're going to have to have that live stream piece that comes in, and then everything is you can make decisions around catering, whether or not you're going to have it delivered. And so the hybrid is pulling all of that together. So you're going to consider local folks and remote folks. And so your program is going to have to make adjustments to that. It's going to have to constantly keep those remote bidders engaged into what's happening in the room. From a live auction standpoint, now we're opening up the possibility of having people at home participate in the live auction. So you're going to have a very skillful live auctioneer, and you're going to also just. But think about that from a inclusive point of view. That's the most important thing. But from a venue, you don't need to have the size venue that you did before. Can you consider smaller venues? What kind of catering options can you do for the folks who are still at home versus the ones who are also at the venue? So we've got a lot to consider. And there is one thing that you have to have if you do a hybrid event, and that's like a very strong streaming system. So we're going to get to that as we move through the slides.
Well, and Diana, one thing that I just want to add, because I think this slide is so important and such a good slide to look at, is, the verbiage on the three of these. And I think you did a great job explaining that. I was talking with somebody last week, and they're moving virtual with their event in March. And she kept saying, no, my event's hybrid. My event is hybrid. And I said, what do you mean it's hybrid? Are we at a venue? Am I auctioneering in front of a group of people and then there's going to be bidders online? And she said, no, but there's people bidding at their homes. And she was considering their homes a venue and they're bidding there. And I said, oh, okay, well, I consider that virtual. Yeah. I'm not going to be in a room full of people. I'm in a studio.
You're going to drive around each person's house?
I was like, what? I started to get scared. Of the month, where is the venue? Where are we going to be? So I think this slide is so important to kind of, understand the differences between these three.
Yes, it's a lot to do with just getting the right language around it, because all of it is just very new to a lot of our clients.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, let's keep rolling, David. All right, so where are we going to go from here? We talked a little bit about this earlier, right? Like, am I going to go virtual? Am I going to go physical? Am I going to go hybrid? And so the last webinar, we gave you a little bit of some considerations to think about as you make this decision. So let's go to the next slide. We'll dive into the first one, which is, where are you trending, right? So these are Colorado's colors, so I'm not specifically sure what your state does in terms of trying to create this little COVID meter thing, but Colorado, we're currently in this yellow state here, trending towards blue. And it's kind of hard to see this, but if you look in here, what it's telling me is if my event is indoors, I can have 100 people in there right now, and I can then have 175 to get to blue. Okay. Which it's ironic that you have green and it's only 500 people, but anyway, I won't go there. And if I take it outside, I can go from 175 to 250. My personal event, which we're going to do in May, we're going outside, which is a little bit of a roll of the dice in Colorado in May.
Snow. We'll wear coats.
It's either going to be 80 something degrees that day, or there's going to be 8 inches of snow on the ground. There's no in between those two extremes in Colorado.
But what
It's
do we do
very
in
hard.
Colorado? We wear layers.
That's right.
So we'll just unzip
Yeah.
if it's warm.
Just bring your snow boots. So anyway, but that's what we're going to do, right? And we kind of feel like we're going to be able to have about 250 people outside at this event. So and so not just knowing kind of where you're at, but also kind of where you're trending, right? And again, this isn't about predicting the future. It's really, you're going to have to place some bets, and you're going to have to roll with the punches. If you've ever done a golf tournament, you place a bet every time you run a golf tournament. Okay. I mean, it can rain. And it's so funny because my sister ran one for one of my charities for like 15 years. And every year she's like, gosh, I'm just so nervous it's going to rain. I said, at what point are you going to just stop being nervous it's going to rain? Because it's like, you can't control that. Right? So that is what it is. So that's one thing. I know it gets tricky. You just need to kind of, come up with what you feel comfortable. Okay, so let's roll into the next one, David.
Yeah, so this is where you have to think about your donor base. I mean, let's just call them what they are. Your guests are your donor base, and we want to move all of them to being just a guest to being a donor, and to having some affiliation and some allegiance to your organization. So you have to ask yourself, are they going to come? Are they going to come in the door? And so, there is the possibility that some of them could feel skittish, but there is also the possibility that some of them are ready to like break the doors down to get in. So yeah. I think that there is, that, and I think that that's something where you have to get really creative. This is the part of coronavirus that I feel like has been on the positive side. We've all had to rethink things. And I think some things will never go back because they will be better now. And so can you now think about having a smaller venue and including those remote folks? And then also, how about new people? Can we bring in some new folks? And how do you get them to come to your event and have allegiance to your event? And maybe that's because you need to have a fun event and you've got to rethink things. But there is a question, are these 100% virtual events? Are we getting some fatigue on that? And if they're done correctly, then they're fun. They really are a lot of fun. So you have to do it correctly, but you also have to remember people want to see people. And so I do think there's some consideration there too.
I think it's good. That makes sense.
We want that connection, that social element.
Yep.
Yeah.
Wow, I love this photo.
Planning a hybrid event. That's actually my event.
There's Haley.
That's Haley on the screen and on the big screen at our event with a Handbid thermometer below it.
That was fun. I love that. It was very hot that day. So good thing is it's far away. You can't see the many sweat droplets I had going down my face.
Sacrifices you make. All right, let's keep going here.
Perfect. So I think one of the main things to consider, going forward is that venue. Like you just mentioned, I think we're going outside, we're going to be outdoors, and that leaves you with a lot of options. Like you see in this photo right now, they're outside, they're on a huge field. This is an amazing event, by the way. I wish I was there. This is one option. If you have 1,000 people, 800 people, this is a great option for you. One of the organizations that I was talking to a couple of weeks ago, they talked about going outdoor into a parking lot. So that's another option you have available. It's safe, you're outside, collection of smaller venues. So again, those house parties, if that's an option, those people at home. One thing you need to consider with all of these different venues, whether it's at a person's home, whether it's, one of the mansions that we have downtown that's a little bit smaller that people are inside, or if it's outdoors. I mean, it's an obvious one, but it's that internet access. It's that connectivity. Are people able to, be bidding on their phones at the event? And are they able to bid, in their homes? And as myself, as the auctioneer, I need to be able to see those incoming bids and whatnot. So we need that internet access. That's really important. It's vital. COVID restrictions. Yes, that's another one, especially if you're going to be indoors, right. if we're at a ballroom downtown, or what is the limit? So be aware of those. I think that goes with talking to, you know, the venue, your event planner, whoever that may be, availability and cost. And this is probably the number one thing that I worry about, and that I've had conversations with. You know, sometimes with this hybrid, you really need to look at the cost of this, because it's almost, are we paying double? Are we paying more? So really kind of figure that out and figure out how this can be, like Diana mentioned earlier, a fun event, but also a cost-effective event, an event that we're going to be making money. And then this is a nice one. I think venues have been really great lately with the cancellation clauses. I think that they have been, you know, just really fluent, and they've been able to let things slide. I was just working with one in Boulder. Hey, no worries. This organization has changed their date 5 times this past year, and it was no sweat off anyone's back. They were cool with it. They said, just let us know. And I think, you know, that's the way to be, especially in the times that we're in. They're uncertain, and it just makes everyone's life so much easier.
Yeah. You know, look, I mean, I think you have an opportunity to get creative with venue. Remember, some of your guests are not going to come. They're going to be at their homes or remote. You're going to have a venue where some of your guests are going to be there, and that's the concept of a hybrid event. Maybe your venue doesn't have to be as big as it normally is,
Yep.
right? Maybe you can do something interesting. We have a client who says, normally we're inside of this stadium. This year, we're in the parking lot, okay? Rooftops, you know, sometimes you rent the venue, you've used it before, ask them, hey, do you have a rooftop?
Right.
Is it available? You know, maybe you move up there, now you're outside. Okay, those restrictions will change. So definitely get creative.
Well, and one thing I always say too, change is good. It
Yeah.
could be a great thing. You know, if you've used the same venue year after year, if the stage is always on the left side of the room, switch it up. So that this could be a good thing. That rooftop downtown, that's fun.
As long as you're not my daughter, change is good.
Right.
Abby doesn't agree with you. Let's keep rolling.
Okay, so catering. I mean, this is where you're just going to have those conversations with your caterer about their flexibility. I mean, if you're going to do a hybrid event, are you going to offer catering options for your folks at home? And if that's the case, will they deliver? And if that's the case, when should the food arrive? Should it arrive the day before? Should it arrive the day of? Will they deliver alcohol packages? I mean, fun. So these are some things that you're going to have to talk to your caterer about. It's beyond, you know, dietary restrictions. It's, you know, how much can you do for me? I mean, there's also the option of calling in a food truck and having that as an option. I mean, again, this is a lot to do with creativity.
Like 3 food trucks.
Yeah, or 5. That's my
5.
favorite option.
Hey.
There's a group in Minnesota that does that. They give you little tickets. You can go get the French fries, go get the hot dogs, you have the cheeseburgers. I mean, the little wontons, they have it all, and it's fun and it's diverse and you have so many options.
But think about it, right? So normally I do it in the venue. I can't do it there. Now I'm in the parking lot.
Right.
I can bring in 5 food trucks to the parking lot.
Well, and it's fun, it's unique, and it's something for everybody. Instead of the typical rubber chicken dinner buffet, bring in the food trucks.
Don't get me started on plated chicken dinners. Please don't. Okay, let's keep going. Oh, AV. Okay, so Haley touched on this a little bit about having great internet access. So there is a little bit of a moving part here. What are you doing in a hybrid event? Well, you're still going to have that element in the venue where I have a program to run, right? I got somebody that possibly is up on stage. I'm going to be showing slideshows on either one or more screens. I'm going to need AV, obviously, and I need to make sure that there's speakers and a sound system. But now I also have to pipe that across the internet through a live stream to people who aren't there at the same time. Okay. And I know what you guys are all thinking, like there's smoke coming out of your ears. Like,
are you confused yet?
I don't get that.
Right.
Your AV company should get this. It should not be hard for them. Okay. But so you have to figure out, how am I going to do this? And we're giving you considerations here that you should just pass on to your AV team, unless that is you. If you're the AV team, then pick a good spot to put this, right? Definitely, if you're not used to having an MC or a host, you should have one, because you've got to keep your remote guests connected, okay? It's a little bit easier if you're just shouting at people at this venue, but now you can't just do that. Okay. You're going to need someone that's going to go in front of a camera with a microphone and do that kind of
Engage
stuff.
people.
Yes. Okay. And when I say good internet speed, you need great internet speed. You're going to be streaming from here. And so you just need to make sure that works. Don't forget, and this happens a lot, people tend to forget that there's remote people watching. So you just need to be aware of that.
That goes back to,
Yeah.
I think, connecting to, everybody on all ends, whether
Yeah.
they're at their homes, they're in the audience. So
Yeah.
again, good MC or host to be able to do that.
And we're going to talk about zero latency in a future slide, so we're not going to dive into that. We'll come back to what it means to have good streaming. So let's quickly run through invite lists and let's get into the nitty gritty.
Let's do it. I mean, I would say Haley would agree with me. If one thing that we like at Handbid is options. We are strong believers in communicating often and in multiple facets with your donor base. So there is an invite list tool that's built into the manager. You can send emails, you can send text messages. You can use the internally built social media buttons to also promote your auction. You can go through your own channels and promote that way as well. But get a plan together, get a communication plan and execute it, or put someone in charge of it to spearhead that plan. But making sure that you're doing it consistently and with enough time for them to plan and mark it in their calendar. We see some really great ideas in terms of ticket options for people to buy tickets if they're local, and then whether or not they want to make a decision to come later, you need to give them availability to flip. If they buy a ticket to plan to come in person, can they now go and sit at home and still have the same value, or vice versa? What if they want to show up to your event? They've changed their mind. They're feeling great. They want to come. So are you going to be able to give them that flexibility?
Right.
I think too, something to hit on, Jeff, you and Carrie do a really good job of this. Diana mentioned the social media and of course sharing your entire event page. But another thing I like are just those individual items like, hey, make sure you're joining us. Here's our Pappy Van Winkle in the live auction, and showing that, Pappy Van Winkle item out on social media on Facebook or Instagram. And you can just go ahead and click that link. It'll take you into that item to bid. So I love the individual social media item reminders as well.
For sure.
It's fun.
Yeah, we
Promoting
get on
it.
our soapbox about that. I'm glad you're on your soapbox, Haley. I get on mine fairly often. So
Bids flying.
it is right.
Okay, ticketing. So we get this question a lot. Okay, so if I'm having a physical event, maybe I do sell tickets because tickets then connect that guest to, basically a spot in your venue, right? What we consider to be a placement spot. If I go fully virtual, do I really want to sell tickets? Well, we had plenty of clients that did with success do that. So when I'm going hybrid, how does that look? Well, I think Diana touched on it on the previous slide. I mean, you might have a virtual ticket, I'm not coming ticket and the I am coming ticket. And you need to be able to figure out how can I, help a bidder swap between those if they want to make that decision. And then what does it get me, right? So some great ideas that have come up, access to live stream, which for some people that's important, but access to bid. I can't bid remotely unless I have bought a ticket.
That's a big one.
We can do that in Handbid. You can have tickets to the after party. How would you pull that off? Well, maybe you do like a Zoom after party.
A Zoom dance party.
Yes,
They're
and
fun.
if you saw plenty of them, and if you do that, you just once the party's going on, you just email them their invite link.
And you need to play Britney Spears because that just engages everybody.
I'm not gonna go there. But anyway, and then obviously we get a lot of questions about refunds, and we can kind of handle those with you on a one-on-one basis. But sometimes it's worked really well to get people to turn their ticket refund into a donation instead. And so we always encourage you that you try to take that route first. Okay.
Well, and one thing that I really like that I feel virtual kind of opened the door for us on, of course, at in-person events, you maybe have a VIP gift basket or something, but these party boxes are all the rage, especially when as an adult, all you get are bills in the mail. Well, now if you buy a party box, you get, party in a box, seriously. The one that we're doing on Saturday, the Southeast Health, they reached out to all members of the local community, and they have honey, raw honey in these boxes. They have
So smart.
what else? Nuts and chips and salsa and just little fun things that the community.
That is a cool
donated.
idea. Yeah, because we did something
Really great.
similar for our derby event,
Mhm.
but we didn't put in a lot of those goodies because that came in the
But
catering
you had
package.
the mint julep kits.
We had, yeah, so you got 2 mint julep glasses, couple of masks, derby branded
Mhm.
COVID masks,
T-shirts. We
t-shirts.
should have wore those actually today.
Should have worn the derby shirts. Yeah. So anyway, there's some cool things that you can do.
Yeah,
that
and you can do whatever, I mean, correlates to your event. Jeff's is a derby run event. This one for Southeast Health is just, I think they're really trying to make it community focused. And
I
so it's
love
all
that.
local from the community.
So clever.
Charcuterie, that's fun, anything
Yeah.
and everything.
Mhm.
Very cool. All right, let's keep rolling. We're on a mission.
So this is great. This is another photo. This was after the event. So this was outfit change number 1 into a more relaxed wear out of the cocktail dress. But
So great.
Jeff, you hit on this earlier, and this is really important. The fact of continuing to move forward in fundraising, because I mean, it's essential. We need to be able to do that. And when you put your event off for a year or 2 years, what does that tell your donors? So there's still ways to raise funds, whether you're in person, you're virtual and hybrid. Of course, that auction element, which, Handbid allows you to do, silent auction bidding, mobile bidding, the live auction, which can be done both in person at the hybrid event as well as on your phones. We've been seeing that virtual. We've adapted, we've acclimated, we've made that work. It's been really successful. We thought kind of moving into this new pandemic COVID virtual world space, what can we expect? But we have seen great results in the fundraising realm. Another element, and a lot of organizations, some are just doing this, is the paddle raise. Click in to give, click in to donate. We have those levels available. We have a custom option available for you. And then this is one I really like, the revenue enhancers. And we kind of talked about this with those party boxes. The organization that's running an auction with Handbid tomorrow night, Leadership Idaho Agriculture, they are great at these revenue enhancers, whether it be, a drawing or these charcuterie boxes. I mean, they just have so many fun options available that will increase revenue. I think they've raised over 20,000 alone in some of these revenue enhancers and ticket sales. So that's another one that you have available. We can do heads or tails. We have a chat feature coming next month, I believe, at maybe the start of the month. We're hopeful. So heads or tails with that. We can play games. The runaround has been successful. That's another revenue enhancer. So of course, considerations to have, you need the right technology. You need that bidding platform. You need to have, the premium streaming or the best zero latency that you can find with that AV, that streaming element. Items, how they're going to be displayed. Of course, look at Diana's auction if you're going to go look at a test auction. Don't look at mine. I don't know what I was
Girl,
doing.
I could just copy my items to yours. It's fun. I'm good at sharing.
Your photos are creme de la creme. But so that's the thing, is those good photos. You really, with Handbid, the nice thing is we can add multiple photos. We can also add a video per item, which is really nice. So we can do that for you guys. Okay, we're going to showcase this now, are we?
No, we're not.
Oh, we're not?
Keep talking.
Oh, okay. So we have those displays. You want them to be good. You want them to be clear images, big images. Those always look nice. And then the paddle raise, a couple of different ways you can do that. The nice thing with what we offer, similar to this photo that you're looking at right now, we can offer that split screen. So we can offer that split screen image. And I think that's great for the donors online because, those in the room are maybe listening to me talk, or everybody just saw an emotionally appealing video, but it's also nice to have that split screen with maybe saying, hey, $2,000, you are able to supply, a laptop for a child in need, and be able to showcase that as a split screen like you see right now. Video set up for remote and in-person audiences. I think we're going to dive a little bit deeper into that as we move on. That's a really big one. That's really important to me. I'm sure it's really important to all of you who are considering a hybrid event. And then of course, as we move on, how are we going to deal with taking bids in person, in the room, or outside at the venue? And then how are we seeing those bids also come in from the internet?
Right.
So we'll talk about that more as we continue on.
All right, let's roll. All right, so how do you pull this off? One way you pull it off is you get a 20-foot giant LED screen to put outdoors at your event.
It only costs you a couple thousand. All right, it's worth it. It's worth it.
That This is one of the beauties of credits and refunds. So when our event got canceled, and then ultimately moved, obviously we had all this credit, so we turned all of that into a video wall. If you're going outside, I think you need an LED screen. So that's just a side topic, but something to consider.
Well, it's something you'd have at an in-person event as well.
Okay, so excuse the old stock photo here of the video being taken at the event. I think in this day and age, everybody would be wearing masks, but in this case here, we wanted to find a photo of somebody who's walking around your event with a camera. And we talked about possibly even demoing this. I think we're going to reserve that for like an auction talk or something. We did a demo the other day. I did one for a client, and it was really easy. I mean, we literally turned an iPhone into a remote camera, pulled it into streaming software. We had 3 iPhones walking around our building here, and you can really make it fun. Okay, it's not hard, and we can show you how to do that. If that's something that you're interested in, and there was 0 software cost, right? All of it is free. That's the beauty of it. Okay, so and our advice was free too. So we didn't charge for that. Yes. So what's going to be different in a hybrid event? You're going to have a remote audience. So again, you'll hear this. You're going to have cameras in the room filming so that the people remotely get an experience. Okay. I believe in that. You don't have to do that. You could literally just point a camera at the stage, for the person talking, and that'd be done. I think it's kind of cool to give them a little bit more life, okay, by showing some other things that are going around. And you can mix that up. So fix camera on the stage, maybe a couple of roamers, and you can have your video guy turn those roamers on and off.
Well, especially if you have an auctioneer like me who runs around the room.
Yes.
You need somebody who's going to be trailing that person.
The AV person's worst nightmare, the auctioneer that roams. Okay.
That runs into them.
And then on the catering side, we already talked about this. This will be different. You need to talk to your caterer about whether or not you're going to do remote delivery. And then on the checkout side, you're going to have remote bidders. So here's what's interesting about that. And this happened years and years and years ago. And most of you who are Handbid clients have probably seen this option in the bidder section of Handbid called the bidder location check. Okay. And you're like, what the heck is this for? Well, it was for all of our hockey teams who wanted to know who's at the hockey game and who's not. Because the hockey game is over. If you're not coming to get your stuff, I'm wrapping up and going home. Right. So literally, we would recommend you use that feature. So you would ask people, right, just in case, because you may not recognize every bidder account versus who came to your event. Are you here or are you not? Okay. And that way they'd be able to say, no, I'm bidding from my house tonight, or I'm bidding at home. I'm bidding at the venue. So anyway,
makes the checkout process.
Y'all, I just have something to interject. I don't know if it's this confetti that's fallen or what, but Haley's description and your continued description of it, it's kind of a little bit like New Year's Rockin' Eve. I mean, Ryan Seacrest is clearly talking to everybody at home, but everybody who's normally in downtown Manhattan is not able to hear Ryan Seacrest. So it's a little bit like you having someone be able to host the folks at home to keep things engaged for them. Yeah. So I don't know if y'all agree with me on that, but that just kind of made me think about, obviously I need to have some better New Year's Eve plans because I know exactly what happens on New Year's Rockin' Eve.
Right.
No, that's perfect. I'm more of an Andy Cohen, Watch What Happens Live, or Housewives of, New York City or Salt Lake.
I won't tell you. I'm in bed. I just want to just.
I don't know what you're talking about, Haley.
I get up at 4 a.m. every day, so yeah.
And I'll go ahead and call you after. I'll try to recap the Housewives.
Get me in the loop here. Okay.
Let's keep going. We got to get caught up here. Let's quickly run through this, Diana.
Okay, so you run a show, you're going to have one. You should already have one. So your current one should operate under the assumption that there is a live event. And so now all of the adjustments to your run of show, if you have a hybrid event, you have to have some insertions of, cut to MC who's introducing the next person on stage, cut to and so all that has to be built in for everybody involved who's making your program run smoothly. So just having considerations for the folks at home.
Yep.
conducting the auction and paddle raise, bring a cowbell. Okay, this is a good one. And this is what we talked about a little bit earlier in a couple of slides previous to this. And we're going to get into this and what you need to have from our team, the auction team, the AV team to make this work. So silent auction, pretty typical how, we've done it in the past, whether it be a live event, a virtual, or now hybrid. People can bid on their computers, they can bid on an iPad, they can bid on their phones. I mean, we have a lot of options here at
They just
Handbid.
can't bid on paper.
Yeah, no paper, that's not going to work. And also with COVID, you don't want everybody picking up the same utensil.
That's right.
Or getting in fist fights over items. So the other thing too, with what we have, both app-based and the web, so it's whatever works best for your bidders, which is great. 100%, as Jeff said, electronic, no paper. And then this is the part I think that maybe scares a lot of people. How do we do this? How is this going to work? And I mean, we've done it. We did it at an event in Texas. We've done it at quite a couple of events. So definitely something we can handle, but we recommend having, a couple of members of our team on site with you guys. If you feel comfortable doing it yourself, you definitely can. But of course, this is kind of something new. So for the auction, that auctioneer needs to recognize both bids that are coming in from the internet, online, the mobile side, as well as what's happening in the room. Now, I personally think you're going to have more bidding happening in the room, but you don't want to miss those that are also bidding online.
That's right.
So what we've kind of created and what we've recommended is maybe having either 2 people on your team who are monitoring this, or 2 of our Handbid staffers who can come and help and take care of all of this for you. You'd want 1 staffer promoting those auction items. So those who are watching the live stream at home, they can see that promoted item underneath and they can bid right there on that item. It's easy to find. That person is also notifying myself if a bid comes in online. Auctioneer, bid, maybe they're raising their hand, or maybe they call out, online bid 1,500. And that's when we'll say, okay, the net's in at 15, you got to be 1,600. And you maybe go back to that bidder that's in the room with you. So that's what the one person's doing. And then we recommend having a second person. And the reason for that is because we need to update the internet. We need to update those people in their homes that are online with what's happening in person in the room. So we recommend creating 2 different bidder accounts. One would be, in-room bidder number 1, and maybe the second one's in-room bidder number 2. And every time bids are happening, at the in-person event, I bid 1,000, now 11, I bid 11, 12, 13, 14. We have those 2 people outbidding each other. And so that Handbid person is putting that in for you. Or again, if you have somebody from your team, you're just updating what's happening in the room for those online to see. So we can take care of that. And then the last thing that person's going to do is when we say sold, $2,000, bidder 143, they're going to go ahead and update that, mark the item as sold, just like we would do at an in-person event, right, and close it out and put in the winning bidder. So that's nice. What you need for this though, and this is bolded, it's really important, 0 latency live streaming.
What does that mean? Should we talk about what that means?
Yeah, you do it because you know more than I do.
Latency is delay, okay?
Right.
Back to my son's
Now
days at Thomas the Train, confusion and delay, right? So
Right.
latency is delay. So, and if you've done a virtual event, you get how this works, but someone's filming Haley and Haley's talking, that gets put through streaming software. It goes out through streaming platform like YouTube. Someone's watching that. The delay from when they hear Haley's voice to when she's talking is what's called the latency, or the delay in that signal. And, YouTube is probably, I would say, on a good night, 8 seconds, 10 seconds, if you use their ultra low latency setting. Facebook's 40 seconds. Terrible. Okay. So, and Vimeo's in the 20s. And so for a lot of our clients, they've been using YouTube. And if you're doing a virtual event and everybody's at home, it's probably fine. But now when you have people in the room and they're hearing Haley talk at the speed of sound, okay, then the people remotely, you need to get them, basically to hear it almost as fast.
Well,
right?
We want it to be fair. We don't want there to be a disadvantage of, I was behind, I wasn't able to click in and I wanted that item.
What do you mean it's sold? Because remember, Handbid's, speed of light, right? So what ends up happening is you hear Haley talking about 1,600, now 1,700, now 1,800.
I think you have a future in the auction business.
Oh, do I? Okay. I have a lot of practice to do. But then all of a sudden, you see it sold, and you see it like she's saying 1,600, 1,700, 1,800. You see 2,000 on the screen in front of you, and then sold. You're like, wait a second, she was the same 1,600, and that's the latency. So zero latency. Handbid Premium Streaming Solution has pretty much zero latency. So we'll demo that for you here in a second. That's what's going to make this work. You're going to need that.
It's like instantaneous.
All commercial platforms use it, right? If you go to an auto auction, you go to a real estate auction, farm equipment auction, all of them have zero latency streaming solutions. They have to.
Right.
Okay.
Well, and then with that, to finish the slide, the paddle raise or the fund a need, the paddle up. I mean, it has 20 different names depending on what region you're in. But so if I'm talking in California, it's called the fund a need. Here in Colorado, the paddle raise. But anyway, of course, like we typically do, you raise a bid card, you thank those in the room that have donated. And then those online, I mean, we have a great iPad app where we can go in, we can click the individual level, we can see everybody who's given at that level online. We can see it in real time. It's super easy. We could also pull up Handbid TV and we can see any donations that are coming in on the net. And to me, this is very similar to when we had in-person events and they would tell you, hey, these people have pre-committed and you would just know about it. So if that's the case, we can give them a shout out. Again, the auctioneer can watch the iPad or watch, a monitor maybe they have pulled up as well as making those in person.
Yep.
So it's not too difficult on the paddle race.
Good.
I'm excited for the next slide.
Oh, useful Handbid features. Okay, so let's dive over and share with you some of the stuff that we've got coming out. And it's going to be in the next week or two. It's just we're basically in the middle of a test cycle here. So
you mentioned that real-time streaming, which is great. Instantaneous, no delay. This is what we need to have available for this hybrid event. And then something that I'm really excited about as the auctioneer is the chat feature.
Right.
And so we'll be able to showcase that. But the nice thing about the chat is, when we were going completely virtual and we didn't have this feature, you really have to have somebody energetic and exciting and to play off of people. But what the chat does, it almost brings you back to in person in a way, because you can connect with people through the chat. You can say things like, oh, look what Samara just said about why she loves impact on education.
Right.
She loves it because of X, Y, and Z. And you just feel the love in the chat, and it allows everybody to, be able to connect in that regard.
Yeah, for sure.
I love to feel the love.
So as soon as David's enabling me to share my screen, then I will share it with you.
David.
Why would he do that? He was upset about the comments that were
I'm gonna
made.
pop on.
Well,
I
you know what?
apologize, but I thought you were a host, Jeff.
Am I a participant?
So what you are seeing now is if you look on the right side of the screen, we have the event chat image.
Yeah.
You can get a little sneak peek there. Let me see if I can figure this one out, Jeff.
Let's go to the next slide and keep talking while you figure it out.
Here, now you're a host.
Oh, let me
There
see
you
how
go.
we do it.
Ooh, but it just, okay.
Yes.
Do I need to stop share?
Technology, we're all
There
learning.
Here we go. Can you guys see the screen?
See.
All right. Okay. We're in the Diana demo auction. Look at that.
Great photos in this auction, folks.
The worst nightmare just happened to our support team because we changed up all the icons. And so they're going to have to do all these
They're
screenshots.
so pretty.
Chat is now going to be what you guys are used to as the broadcast messaging bundle icon. And then the broadcast messaging icon is going to turn into a megaphone.
That makes more
here.
sense.
Yeah,
Broadcast.
it kind of does. And this is getting a bit of an overhaul in a future release as well. We won't go there with that one. Let's just kind of dive into chat. Okay. And so there's two types of chat that are coming into Handbid. One of them is the event chat. This is the party line. Okay. And then over here would be support chat. And this is where you would be able to chat with an individual user and they'd be able to chat with you. And you see, we've been playing around in here, but you can help me please. But you can share photos and that kind of stuff.
Like
Okay. So what does it look like on the front end here? Let's go over here and take a look. Okay.
It's us.
It is us. Okay.
Amazing, guys.
I know. So what you're looking at here is Handbid real-time live streaming. So not bad.
Crazy.
Okay. There's almost no latency, and so that makes it better. It's almost like a Zoom speed.
Like ridiculous fast.
Party line in here, our party line chat. We'll just scroll down here and say, hi everyone.
Jump
And I will tell you, we're still in test mode. So there's probably a couple of little quirks here or there, but you know, you can attach files if you want. You can go ahead and you can chat, and then where that ends up showing up over here is here. Demo user said hi everyone. Well,
so that could be the
hello.
event manager on the back end, you know,
Right.
being able to connect. And what's so great about this is that one-stop shop option, and also being able to see the featured items, see your watch list, your favorite items, and participate in the chat all from one screen. Or if you have somebody that needs a question.
It's a good segue because so the other thing you're going to notice, let me just go to the front of this, okay? What you're going to notice here is we have now put live streaming in the menu here, okay?
It's easier to see and find.
It is, and let's go officially live. I got to like move Zoom stuff out of the way here. I know. Okay, so we're going to go live here. Now you get to not notify your users.
Please do.
Well, if you're testing, you may not want to, but if you do want them to know, then it would pop them up. So a couple things have happened here. So the first one, live stream is now in the menu. Okay, so for anybody who's wondering where the live stream is, and then there's a big giant blue banner saying tune into our live stream program, so they can go there. And when they get to this live stream page, what you're going to see is that whole menu on the site is gone. Okay, this live stream page is the live stream page. Okay,
So great.
whatever featured item is being featured will be here, and it will default to this. Okay, if it doesn't default to this because you're promoting nothing, it's going to promote for all of you like sponsor lovers out there.
I feel like we need to
It's going to promote your live stream sponsor, so you can put in an image and, you know, whatever else you want to say. Thank you to our live stream sponsor. Okay, so that would go in there. Okay.
So exciting.
Obviously, they have chat, you know, where they're able to do event chat or support chat. Chat will also show up in other pages of the site, so you don't have to worry about that. And then over here is the watch list, and the watch list is our it's what Handbid's doing to allow them to keep track of certain silent auction items that they want to pay attention to while they're watching your live stream.
Maybe they're not interested in the live, or maybe they just want to kind of keep updated. They can watch those items and not have to leave the screen.
And it'll tell them what they're winning and losing, right? And it'll let them go back. So if I go in here and bid on this item, so remember, see now event chat's here, right? So they can get to it. So if I bid on this item, I'm now winning, and now I can go back to the live stream, and now I'm winning that item. Here's the minutes, okay?
So great.
Well, one of the things that I really love too is that the chat has the support and the fun chat. I'm so tired of saying, if you need help tonight for technical support, call 1-800-444-9672. I mean, it's just, so this is
I don't know who that is,
but this is so nice that it's just all in one place. You don't have to leave to pick up your phone and call a number. You could put a chat question if you need help right in here.
That's right. You got it.
But I love that you wrote down the number.
Just in case. Yes, and then you can chat with them on this end.
Well, it's also important to mention that chat will be available on the apps as well, not just on the website. So
it is. And you know, if we're doing well on time, and we probably aren't, I can quickly show that to you.
And chat is also going to be available for folks who aren't going to have a live stream option. They just want people to chat. Then that's right. Isn't that right?
Yep.
Okay, cool.
So I'm gonna have to change my screen sharing probably to show you that. Hold on here, new share.
This is why we have Jeff on these webinars, because I don't even know what's going on right now.
Haley, how will you use chat when this is available and you're a live auctioneer? Like, what will you do with it?
You know, I think it's a really good area for filler. So I spend probably 10 to 12 hours writing my auction scripts, and I just overload them with information because of that lag time and that latency. You know, to be able to have enough speaking points, so I'm not just staring at the camera. Who wants to get 5,000? And you know, 2 minutes, nobody's doing anything or clicking in. So I have a lot of filler, but the nice thing with chat is it's natural filler. One sec, Diana, photo up.
Hey.
So it's a natural filler where if you typed in, oh my gosh, I'm loving this event, I could say, oh, look what Diana just said. She's having so much fun. She's at a house party. She's having a glass of wine. You know, you can kind of use that as filler to keep the show moving.
Very cool. I love that. So nice, guys.
Have to start over now.
Looks like a party.
This is what chat's used for, folks.
Yeah, so this is the chat button on the iPhone app, in case you guys are wondering.
It's really fun.
So,
So it's a tool. It's going to be a tool for live auctioneers as well as a tool for donors to talk
Right.
to one another, and as well as donors to get help.
I
So
think it brings us back to that connection. It's the closest thing to connection of, being back in person is that chat.
right. And think about what you're seeing here. So what you're seeing, of my my magnetic iPhone is not getting along with my laptop screen. I put them up on top of each other. What you're looking at here, just for those of you who aren't understanding how the technology works, I've got a different browser window using the camera to capture us, running it through our premium streaming solution, and that is then independently being streamed to this iPhone app, as well as separately to this event site. So these would be like two different users seeing the same stream. So it doesn't get much more real time than this. I mean, it's pretty fast, pretty consistent between them. So when we talk about needing that zero latency solution, I don't know how you do a hybrid event without streaming software like this. I mean, I think saying, hey, we're just going to do it through YouTube or something like that, I think
have a lot of problems.
you're going to have a lot of challenges.
And we don't want those in-home bidders who already feel, I don't feel comfortable or I can't make the event. We don't want them to feel left out by, they're already not at the event. And then on top of that, they
Right.
can't get a bid in.
And you're wondering, like, why would you use an app to watch this when I can use my desktop? Well, there's I was showing Diana this the other day. Some really fun things you can do in our app.
Oh, I did this
One of
last
them
night.
is picture in picture. So now I get to watch the entire live stream while I float around the auction and
cool.
bid on stuff, right? Which makes it even more.
really smart.
Yeah. So go over here and we'll say, go ahead and bid on this kayak, right? And then, so I get to do all those things while the live stream's going on. And then if I just need to zip back to the live stream, I can either do this and hit that live stream button, or I can,
Keep swiping.
keep swiping.
We have a lot of options for you guys.
All right,
We try to make.
David,
life
I'm going to stop
easier.
sharing and hand it back over to you.
That was
Yes,
really
you're
fun.
gonna
Thanks
need to
for taking us through that.
Sure.
Can you just convert the host real quick to me?
Convert the host. Okay, so now you're going to more.
So,
Yeah.
Make host. Here we go.
David White
All
is now
right,
the
thank
host.
you.
This is why you don't use Zoom for your fundraising events, folks.
I could agree with that. Let's keep rolling.
So, y'all, what are the final thoughts here? We have some to share, and the main thing that we think here at Handbid is we think hybrid events are kind of going to stick around for a while. Not kind of, they are. We feel that you have to start to wrap your brain around how you can make this work for your organization.
Yeah.
And so there are some questions that you're going to have to ask yourselves. First of all, is this cost effective? Well, can we have smaller venues? I mean, so yes, the answer is we hope so, yes. And then to take that even further, who are you going to use to help you execute these things? I mean, having the right partners and making you feel comfortable while you dip your toe into this really new space, but understanding all these different pieces that are coming together is going to enhance your donor experience and make it very elegant for them. And that's what we're hoping you can do for your donor base,
Right.
with a hybrid event.
All right.
Well, and Diana kind of hit on that slide, but competent partners, folks, good auctioneer, a great AV team, the best mobile bidding experience that you can find. This is really important. And, some people look at this and they look at, oh, COVID was a tough year and we took a hit and we need a really cheap solution. And, that's not always the case. You're actually it's like hiring a free auctioneer. It's going to cost you more in the long run.
You get what you pay for, Haley.
You mean Uncle Joey?
I was just gonna say Uncle Fred, but yeah, Uncle Joey and Fred. No, don't go with that duo. This is really important. People that have experience. So whether it's the AV team and they've done productions like these. I was talking to somebody and and they were mentioning, well, we don't know if we can pay for that or find somebody, but I think I have some students from the school, from the 8th grade class that can help make this production happen. And I'm thinking, oh my gosh, I don't even know what to say right now. This is going to be a fail.
Right.
So I think it's really important to hire people that have experience, that have a proven track record of success. They have the capabilities that you need, and they also know what you need. They know what to bring to the table. I did an event where I didn't even think about this or know, but there was a confidence monitor there so that I could see what was happening and what I was looking at, or when the video was on the screen, and they just knew that I needed that. I did an event where I said, hey, you know what? I've used note cards. Note cards are great. They're awesome. And they told me, no, you're not using note cards. We're doing a rehearsal right now, and you're going to use this teleprompter. Use the teleprompter. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is life-changing. I don't have to look down at these cards. I can connect with people in the camera, and I've never gone back since. So that's really important. They understand your needs. They know what to bring to the table. We talked about understanding the ROI and don't always look for the cheap solution. It's about value. So consider the risk of going cheap. It could cost you more in the long run.
Yeah. I mean, and we hear it like, oh, well, this other solution's a few $100s cheaper than you guys are. I think we're very reasonably priced. I really do. But I would always tell them a few $100s could be, 1 or 2 missed bids in a paddle race. Right. So really, really need to think about that guest experience and make sure that you're working with people who really have put together the entire package or solution, or at least know what elements and components you need in order to make this work.
Well, and just ask them. You can ask for case studies. We've had a lot of people ask us for references, whether it might be, auction in a box, or how did your software work virtually for this event, or did people hit their fundraising goals? And we have so many references that we can send out to you guys of really happy clients.
Yeah, for sure. All right, I think we got one more slide.
We made it.
I think this is an important thing to end on, and that is to set reasonable expectations. I understand that you all want your event to go perfectly. Who doesn't, right? I want my event to go perfectly. And I know when you guys moved into the world of virtual, you were nervous about that, right? Because it was a new world. You didn't fully understand it. You didn't know exactly how to pull it off. You probably got a much better sense of how it worked after it was over. And you're thinking to yourself, like, there can't be any glitches, there can't be any mistakes. And you know what? I mean, we've done this before. We used to do webinars on how to master your event, and we always would talk about the fact that you're going to have issues in your event. Don't beat yourself up about it. That doesn't mean that you don't prepare. You absolutely should. You should absolutely, go through and pick the right vendors, pick the right partners, do everything you possibly can to make your event a great success, but don't beat yourself up or your team up if one little minor thing happens, because you've got to enjoy it as well, right? And what we would tell you is your donors support you for what you do. Whether that's human trafficking or it's animal welfare, that's why they're connected to you. They're not connected to you because you know how to run a great hybrid event. Okay?
Well, and I think if something does happen, the best part is just having fun with it and I think laughter is the best medicine. So don't, be nervous or get upset or frustrated. I think if you can just kind of make a joke about it and move on, like what we did when the umbrella was kind of blocking us on camera. We said, all right, I think it's hot in here. That's why we're under this umbrella, but we'll move back into the sun for you guys. And
so we could sweat.
Yeah, it was fun for people.
Or Diana that ran up to me to ask me at one event, where have you been? And I said, I've been taking out the trash, because apparently there are no trash cans in the main venue, and the mobile bidding company should be able to fix this problem. She says, great. Well,
we do it all.
I put place settings on the last 10 tables in the building. So
that was quite a day.
So I know we have some questions, and one of them I definitely want to address, because a few of them have come in with this before we dive into the rest of them. And that is the premium streaming feature available? I should say that. That's like an auctioneering practice. Yeah. It is available. We've had it out for several months. It is not included in your package. You will have to add it on. Unfortunately, premium streaming is not free. But again, if you were going to use Vimeo, it's not free.
Right.
And, YouTube is becoming more and more difficult to use in this environment, because YouTube makes its money off of advertising, and you're not advertising for them. And unless you want to start showing ads inside of your gala, don't expect YouTube to be free forever either. So It's a great solution. It's not free, but I think it's very reasonably priced. Chat will not be free either. Unfortunately, chat costs money as well. So, and I think that one will be reasonably priced. We've got a major revamp of our pricing packages coming out next week. If you've been talking to our sales team, you probably already know about them. But we'll be launching and releasing those next week. And I think you're going to be really, really happy with what you see. So,
well, and to Christina's point, I think you should run an event. I mean, we have that premium streaming service available for you, but we also have clients that are running virtual events that use YouTube, and it's, you know, maybe about a 7-8 second delay. It just kind of depends, but they've had a lot of success. They've raised a lot of money and they've had a lot of fun doing it. So you can use our software to help make that happen for you with or without that premium stream.
Right. Question in about, is there a way, are there third-party live streaming solutions that are zero latency outside of Handbid's premium streaming? Yeah, ours is built on a technology called Millicast. There's a few of them out there. They are pretty expensive if you guys are going to run them for one event. We put some investment into getting this to work inside of Handbid. If you need to talk about how can I co-stream this, there are ways to split streams and do dual streaming. We can work with you on that. It's going to cost you a little bit more money because the services that do that kind of stuff aren't free, but we can help you with that.
All right. And then I did see a question here. Does this live stream go on YouTube and Facebook? So I'm assuming it's the Millicast, but what we've seen some customers do, don't they use a tool to then post those streams on multiple platforms at one time? So they are streaming to Facebook, they are streaming to YouTube and Millicast, but you know, in our mind, we kind of think that causes confusion, right?
A little bit. The problem is no matter what you do across YouTube and Facebook, if people are watching there will be a latency and a delay. So when you go to a 0 millisecond, zero latency streaming like this, you can restream it to YouTube, but whoever is going to be watching that is going to be probably 15, 20 seconds behind. And it may not be worth it. One of the things you can do is record the video, upload it to YouTube, and make it available in the future for them. Right. That's for sure possible.
And I think it's also important to just, make sure you're making a decision that you're a good candidate for the premium streaming. I mean, if you're doing a live auction where you have a auctioneer who needs to engage that virtual audience for items and for a real-time update, then you absolutely need the zero latency. If you're just going to be pushing out content through pre-recorded videos and a host with, some engagement, then premium streaming really might not be necessary.
Right. It's totally true. And if you're doing everything pre-recorded, it's definitely not necessary. And there are tools that we have, or we can point you to, that you can use to stream that pre-recorded video if you'd rather do it that way. And we're doing one this weekend. I know it for sure because I've talked to them, and we're going to help them get that all coordinated and scheduled. And sometimes when you do it that way, you can actually stream it through multiple platforms at once.
All right. And then in the chat, we had Liz chime in. Will this be available by June 5th?
She
oh gosh, I hope so, Liz,
chat,
we're in trouble.
Yeah, if chat would be available by June 5th.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We'll have it for you, Liz.
Perfect.
Yeah.
And then this one was, can't you see the items below the live stream screen too on the website? So I'm assuming that's regarding the featuring of the items, which yes.
Yeah.
Well, and
let's
we
see.
offer that right now, but I think the nice feature moving forward that's coming out, maybe in a couple of weeks, is not only do you have the featured items, but you have the chat and you have your watch list. All one screen. You don't have to leave the live stream. So we're making you even better for, those watching, our viewers.
Jeff, how many items can you add to your watch list to view there?
Well, I don't think we put in a real limit. I'd say there's probably a practical limit because you'll just keep scrolling all the way down the list.
Yeah.
So bid a lot, bid often, folks. That's what we love. Have a lot of items you're watching.
All right. Well, I think that pretty much does it. We're 6 minutes over. So
Y'all,
I think
I
it's
do not
time.
approve.
We appreciate those who have stuck around this long, but Haley, thanks for joining us. Diana, thanks again for joining
Likewise.
us
Thanks
this
for
week.
having me.
We should be back in 2 weeks. Is the topic decided? Peer-to-peer, maybe peer-to-peer, but we will be back in
You'll
2
have to
weeks.
stick with us to find out.
We will give you all an update when we kind of nail down the topic early next week, but we will be back in 2 weeks with another webinar. So look out for that. And again, thanks everyone for joining us, and have a good rest of your week.
Thank you,
Bye,
guys.
everybody.
Bye, David. You did a great job.